Hope everyone's had a great weekend. So tonight I'm going to tell you about how I'm preparing farro this evening. We actually just got back in town from Atlanta. We visited my parents for the weekend, and James had a blast with his grandparents. We went strawberry picking, and this kid, he pretty much ate his weight in strawberries. He just loves strawberries. But Dane was in New Jersey for a dental CE. So he pulled teeth and did that kind of thing all weekend. Hi, Chase. Yeah, so he did, he pulled teeth and did gum, he basically pulled teeth all weekend. And he did bone grafting. Okay, bone grafting and pulling teeth. So how exciting. Say hi, James. Say hello to everyone. Say hi. Okay, but our James loves farro. Hi, Megan. We saw Asher when we were out for a walk earlier. And so one of my favorite ways to cook farro, and James really likes it, is to put tomato sauce in it. We were at the beach last summer, and we went to a nice restaurant, and I had farro for the very first time. It was in some kind of like tomato like cream base, and it was really good. And so I just knew I had to figure out how to make that at home. Unfortunately, James can't have dairy, so we kind of make some modifications for him. But so I'm going to flip this around. So here I've got about a cup of farro, and farro is a whole grain. It's wheat based, so if you're gluten intolerant or something, you want to probably stay clear from farro. But farro has more fiber than rice or quinoa, and it's high protein, and it has a whole bunch of vitamins and minerals in it, so it's great and pretty healthy. And it has just like a different kind of nutty flavor. It's a great alternative to just plain rice. So the directions on my plain farro from Trader Joe's, one of the only places I've been able to find just plain farro in a little package like this. A lot of places have farro mixes. So one of our favorite farro mixes is a butternut squash and kale one that's really yummy. But this is just plain old farro. So like rice, basically like a cup of rice, a cup of farro to 2 cups water. Right now I have about a cup of farro in here, and I have a cup and a half of water and about 1/4 a cup of white wine. Just gives it a little bit of an extra flavor. But I'm also going to add some homemade tomato sauce that I made before we went out of town on Thursday. We had it with pasta on Thursday because I took some a meal to a family that just had a baby from our Sunday school class, and I made them a pasta dish, and I basically used up all of our tomato sauce. And I didn't realize that we didn't have any backups until I got home, and I was going to fix us basically the same meal for our family. But I did have some canned tomatoes in the pantry. My grandmother grows and cans her own tomatoes, and we're lucky enough that she gives us some. And so I used a couple cans of tomatoes and a jar of tomato paste that I had in the pantry, and I forget all I put in it. Like, I do different things sometimes. I didn't do onion this time. I just did just a tomato sauce instead of marinara. I'm going to flip this on to high. So we have basically 2 1/4 cups liquid in here, because I added about 1/2 cup of the homemade tomato sauce, and then I had a cup and a half of water, which gives us 2 cups, and I did 1/4 cup of white wine. So I have a little over 2 cups of liquid in here, and I can always add more if needed, because one thing I found is that farro is pretty dense, and to get it really soft, I sometimes like to add more liquid. So I turned it on to high, and we're going to get this up to a boil and then reduce it down to simmer and cover it for 10 minutes and then check on it. So that's set for the moment until it boils. So back to the tomato sauce. I think I added basil and thyme and oregano. I don't think I put any rosemary in it. I probably put some salt and pepper in it. So sometimes I change it up. One day I'll do like a making your own tomato sauce tutorial. It's really not as hard as you think. It's even easier if you have an immersion blender. Hey Cal, hey Norma, hey Sarah. it's easier if you have an immersion blender than if you just have a food processor, especially if you're like me and you only have a mini food processor. It makes it a lot more challenging. You have to do things in different batches. It's so much easier to use an immersion blender on the stove. So we're going to wait for this to come to a boil, and then we'll turn it down to simmer. I already have my oven preheated to 350, and I have some chicken over here, and I thought I'd be kind of color coordinated today. So we have our blue pot, and we have our blue ceramic dishware to go into the oven. But so basically I have some chicken breast halves and some grape tomatoes, like grape or cherry tomatoes, some kind of small tomatoes because they roast really nicely. And then I also drizzled some olive oil on top, and then I added some salt and pepper, and I added some basil and some oregano, so that kind of marries well with the tomato sauce that I put in the Farro. And I have two dishes. Well, because I could have done a really big rectangular Pyrex dish or something and fit all three of them and the tomatoes. Oh, thank you, Chase. I'll have to take a picture once it's all done and have y'all over for dinner sometime since you're within walking distance. But anyway, so one of them's for James. This is going to be that's it, and it's going to be dairy free. So this is for us, and I'm going to sprinkle some 4 cheese Italian on here that has low-fat mozzarella and provolone, and also some fresh Asiago and Romano cheese. And so I'm going to sprinkle that on here. So just do a little on the first one. Cheese makes everything better. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Okay, y'all are upside down. No, you're not. Okay, so I'm going to sprinkle the second one. All right. And my ever watchful husband is moving away James's dish just in case some cheese goes afly. So, okay. So I just finished off that bag since there wasn't a whole lot left. So now we've got our 4 cheese Italian blend. I also have some cut up fresh mozzarella that I'm going to layer on top. Mozzarella just melts so beautifully, and fresh mozzarella is just delicious and yummy. And I have a little bit left over from probably making pizza or something within the last couple weeks. So I'm just going to use that all up. So that'll melt really nicely over the other cheeses. And so these are ready to go. So we're going to put them in the oven. Okay, and then the one for James. All right, so like 350 or 375 for 20 to 30 minutes. Just kind of check on it. You want the chicken to be cooked through and to bake, not pink at all. And also, so we can kind of see there in the oven. And here we go, we're boiling on the stove. So I'm going to reduce this to simmer. So that was perfect timing. So I'm just going to turn it all the way down to low. So usually I have to turn it completely down when I cover it and simmer it, or else it'll boil over because the gas stove gets really hot. Okay, so now I'm going to put my lid on top of that and check it again in 10 minutes. And then if I need to add a little bit more liquid or just kind of like see how things are going, maybe cook it a little bit longer, I might just leave it as is, and that might be what we all eat tonight. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Michelle. But sometimes I'll take out some for James, and then I'll add a little bit of like milk or half and half or cream to it for us, and then just like cook it a few more minutes to kind of let that absorb, and that gives it a really creamy texture and adds a little bit more moisture to it as well. But yeah, so for this, we want our chicken to be cooked completely through, and then we want our cheese to be all melty on top, and then the tomatoes just to be kind of like almost like they probably won't burst, only at being at 350 or 375 for 20 to 30 minutes, but they'll just like the outsides will just be kind of like bubbly, and it's hard to describe, but the tomatoes like won't quite have like popped probably, but they'll be really tender, and then the olive oil and all the herbs that were tossed in there will make them really flavorful. So I'll have to show y'all how that all turns out. I hope you enjoyed a few of the ideas and enjoy it like our family is. Bon appetit from us to you.